朋友们，当前关税战下，美国港口货运船只暴跌，而中国这边却依旧繁忙。美国网友也慢慢发现了这一点。英国的卫报网站近日刊文指出，美国加征关税导致港口出货量暴跌。文章称美国政府反复无常的贸易政策已经导致美国最重要的港口货运量急剧下滑。数据显示作为西半球最繁忙的港口，洛杉矶港下周计划到港的船舶数量较去年同期骤减近1/3。这也再次印证了美国关税政策正在冲击美国经济。
Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, New Orleans, Miami, Virginia, New York, Boston, the Great Lakes, Shanghai, real-time maritime maps. I'm no expert in this and I don't have any history in it, but it sure would be great if somebody who did could chime in and let us know if this is normal or if this is something we should be concerned about.
自从川普4月2号提出对等关税政策以来，企业新增订单量急剧下滑。当前美国企业界正面临多重压力，比如新增订单持续在萎缩，资本支出计划缩减，关税生效前库存积压，而且各个公司纷纷下调盈利预期。此外美国家庭面临3方面压力，即消费者信心处于历史最低水平，关税政策实施前居民集中透支消费需求，还有旅游市场显著的降温，其中出境游的需求萎缩的尤为明显。
I promise I'm not trying to raise a ton of concern here, but what you're looking at right now in real time is the port of Shanghai. This is the busiest port in China, and all of the yellow that you're seeing, the arrows are moving cargo ships, and the yellow dots are the ones that are either anchored or docked for loading or because of the tariffs, waiting until they're getting the green light to go ahead and move on with their shipments. Now, let's compare this to what we are seeing in the United States. This is the port of Los Angeles. Again, this is in real time. You can go look on Vessel Tracker right now. Everything that's a cargo ship is docked and nothing is coming in and out. Now keep in mind, China has come out and said because of the tariffs and the trade war that's happening right now, China has said they're stopping most, if not all, of their shipments to the United States for the time being. This is a little scary because this is supposed to be the busiest port in the entire Western Hemisphere, and there is nothing coming in and out right now.
除了媒体和网友之外，其他更大咖的组织也发出了警告。近日评级公司穆迪在一份研究报告中，将美国港口2025年前景从稳定下调至负面，原因是预期的贸易放缓。在综合考虑了现有的关税政策以及年终关税可能降低的变化之后，本周洛杉矶港表示，预计5月4号到10号单周的进口量将同比下降33%。而美国全国零售商联合会预期如果继续的加征关税，到2025年下半年，美国的进口将至少下降20%。近日美国主要的零售商沃尔玛、塔吉特跟加德堡首席执行官警告称，美国政府贸易政策，尤其是关税政策，可能会引发大规模的商品短缺和价格飙升，包括宝洁、百思买、联合利华、福特在内许多公司已经发出了涨价警告，或者已经提价了。除此之外码头的工人也愤怒了。当地时间4月28号，在一份最新发表的声明中，代表美国西海岸码头工人的国际码头及仓储工会 ILWU 炮轰川普的关税政策鲁莽，称这些关税是针对劳动人民的经济战争，给美国工人带来了严重伤害，不仅会破坏美国经济的关键领域，更让美国工人阶级沦为被直接攻击的对象。
Have you guys seen the ports? If you haven't seen the ports, go ahead and look in your search bar for Los Angeles ports or Seattle ports, because it is being reported they're an absolute ghost town. And the last ships are coming in at the end of this month. And on the East Coast, it's not getting any better. The last ship coming in from China is targeted for May 10th. And if you look at ports in China, the largest port in China, it is an active, busy hub. So it shows you it's not something that's sweeping the globe here. This is not COVID. This is more directed. This is direct effect of Donald Trump and his tariffs. And I'm not going to come in here and fearmonger and say we're not going to have anything, but you better believe if ships are not docking and they are not taking goods off those ships and they are shipping empty, 40+% of ships are shipping like empty or close to empty. What do you think that's going to happen? The only logical conclusion is there are going to be less goods on the shelves. And it's not only going to be, you know, your toys and electronics and things that you can get by without during a recession. It's going to be food, vegetables, fruits, grains, all sorts of things like that we import. We import a lot of beef and pork and things like that. Even though we have it here, we also import a lot of food as well, a lot of other meats from other countries. And you're going to see a drastic change in the next coming month. In the grocery store, in the retail shop, Walmart CEOs, Target, Home Depot, those CEOs sat down with Trump and said, look, the shelves are going to be barren. We are going to be in a huge issue. And even if he stops the tariffs today and says, oh boy, it was a huge mistake, that doesn't just turn around. So I myself am going to be going to Costco and buying some of those staples, making sure I have a big ass bag of rice, some beans, you know, toilet paper, whatever. I'm not saying panic shop, don't panic shop, but just make sure maybe you buy an extra of what you normally buy. Get yourself a little bit of extra shelf-stable foods so that you make sure you have something, because these ports, they're empty. That's not hyperbole. That's not fear-mongering. That's just the truth. And two, you're not going to have those things on the shelf. We're not getting them in from these countries. When the ports are empty, the shelves will be empty. And this is all thanks to one man and his stubborn ignorance, just absolute nonsense, and having no understanding of how anything works in this world. We saw it the first time around and we knew it was going to be worse the next time. So here we go. Welcome to Trump's world.
ILWU 啊，它是一个主要代表美国西海岸、夏威夷跟加拿大不列颠哥伦比亚省码头工人的工会，曾经有工人阶级贵族之称，因为啊，他们的薪酬是相当的高。而且在北美物流业拥有相当的影响力。声明啊就写到了，关税就是税收，这些以及其他鲁莽短视的政策已经开始摧毁美国工人，损害关键经济领域，并且以牺牲辛勤工作的家庭为代价，让超级富豪们中饱私囊。成千上万的工作岗位依赖于或者与全球贸易相关联。世界上两个最大经济体之间的贸易受限，会导致在全球供应链中工作的工人遭受毁灭性的失业打击。总之啊，我们能看到，现在美国上上下下各大组织和个人都在发声警告。美国网友、媒体、评级机构、行业协会，甚至码头工会，警告代表着困难还没正式到来，但即将到来。等5、6月份大危机真正降临时，这些人啊就不只是警告了，而是哀嚎了。最近呢，一个关注航运的专家也分析了关税给美国港口和美国消费者带来的冲击。
I want to break this down because there is a lot of talk out there, and I want to make it so that you can understand, if you are a shipper, if you are moving goods, if you're a consumer, what is going to happen next because of these tariffs, because you may not be seeing costs right now, but that doesn't mean they're not going to happen. So understanding this, about 40% of all the containers imported into the United States, and we're talking in the range of over 20 million containers a year, 40% of them come in from China. And of all the containers that come into the United States, about half of them come into the LA Long Beach complex. It is the largest marine terminals we have in the United States. Obviously, Trans-Pacific LA and Long Beach is an obvious choice. However, with the new lane of the Panama Canal that opened in 2016, we started to see, starting in 2017, a shift over to the East and Gulf Coast. That was accentuated back when we had the supply chain back up, and when everything backed up at LA and Long Beach, cargo started going more through the Panama Canal. And then we had labor issues on the West Coast. We were in the midst of a labor renegotiation with the ILWU. So we saw everything shifting to the East and Gulf Coast. Matter of fact, over 50% of cargo was going to the East and Gulf Coast. That has since kind of returned back to where it was. And so LA in particularly is a good bellwether for us to measure what's going on with cargo coming from China. Remember, when you hit that Amazon button on your phone and things show up at your house a day or two later, those goods have been moving for 4 to 6 months prior to this. And so when the tariffs went into effect in early April, those ships were already getting ready to sail. And what we're going to look at is where ships are on the Trans-Pacific route, because it's really important to take a look at that too. So Ryan is making a big point here. The impact we're going to start seeing here isn't in April. It's going to be in May and June where we start feeling that crunch. What we saw was a massive front loading in the first quarter of this year. So for example, the Port of LA had over an extra 50,000 TEUs come in above and beyond what they normally have. And so the first quarter in LA is the best quarter they've had since last year, which was a record year, and before 2021, which was the record year. So, I mean, ports had big first quarter. So you are seeing that front loading in the first quarter. So again, got to be careful about a lot of the data out there. There are some great analysis out there, but you got to put it into context. And a lot of people shipping cargo said, we're going to hold off. We're going to wait and see a week or two to see what happens. What we have to see is what this new round of tariff negotiations results in and how well people have stocked their warehouses. There are plenty of manufacturers and distributors out there who had not have the ability to stock up. They just don't have that ability. They're operating on just-in-time logistics, and any disruption, as we're seeing right now, is going to cost them money. If they have got to add 145% tariff to the cost of their goods, that's going to drive out a lot of businesses, and we can expect to see some closures and some bankruptcies and some massive disruptions if this continues in the long term. Right now, you're probably not seeing anything on the shelves yet, but that's going to come as we see these disruptions take place. If there's not enough stockpiling in warehouses, now a lot of things have changed with warehousing and the ability to store goods. A lot of changes happened since 2021, 2022. Warehouse management has gotten smarter. People are storing things not just on the West Coast, but throughout the United States. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But in the short term, especially in the ports of LA, Long Beach, if we're not seeing that same level of business in the second quarter that we typically see in the first quarter, that's going to impact drayage, it's going to impact rail, it's going to impact everything.